these spacers. 3 spacers per manhole. The way these go on, because this lip has to go over the flange of the casting.
Okay.
You need to have that casting elevated. It's about 3/4, half to 3/4 of an inch, so that it can fit under the lip. So we do that by supplying these spacers. The spacers need to be put into a bed of cementitious grout. We don't like regular mortar because it deteriorates rapidly. So cementitious grout, you put a bed of grout down, and then you place those 3 spacers in there on a triangle, and then you set your casting on and mush down that grout until it stops at those spacers. So now you've got a nice load-bearing flat surface of grout. And then the last thing you need to do is just take your finger or a pointing tool or something and scrape out, maybe a 1/2 inch to 1 inch depth around the very outer edge so that that seal can fit under there. Again, these are some of the reasons why contractors complain about using external seals, because they're a lot more labor intensive. There's a lot more stuff to do. Also, if you forget to take in that 3/4 of an inch for your final manhole elevation, you're going to end up being on the high end of the stick, because you put if you set your rings in your frame and then you come back and add 3/4 of an inch, well, now your manhole is going to be 3/4 of an inch too high. And in pavement, that's a problem. In dirt, it's probably no big deal, but in a paving project, it's going to be a problem. So there's a lot to consider. But most of these areas, like Fargo or like Omaha, or the places that use external seals all the time, they know that.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying they're doing it right, but they know that.
Okay. So right now we've got some grout underneath.
Yeah, let's pretend it's grouted and it's ready to go. Because what'll happen right now is if you just put the spacers in and you don't put any grout in, and this is in traffic, it's going to pound those spacers into the concrete grade ring or into our plastic grade ring or into whatever, So the only thing the spacers are there for is so that your casting stops in the grout. And then so installation of these is, again, it's a little trickier, a little more labor intensive, and depending upon the diameters, it can be a little harder to get the seal in place. So usually it's a two-man operation, and you do end up having to pull this rubber and kind of stretch it over the I find it helps to push down from the top too sometimes. Okay, so now this, you got to get this lip, has to go, see how this is diameter, where this goes over, that's what has to go over that flange. So you want to make sure that the bottom part slides under and the top part is over. Over the flange, correct. Now, with the internals, we do have to lubricate these. I don't lubricate the band, I lubricate the seal. And on externals, I use more.
Okay.
It just makes the band slide a little better. Because you're compressing it, the action of the band is, and it's not going to go anywhere because there's actually a channel and it's going over the top of the seal.
Yep.
They do it with studs and nuts.
Oh, here.
Oh, no, that's
Spacers.
on top of it.
Ah, you do it somewhere.
Well, this manhole is well protected.
Yes. Top band gets 2 studs and nuts, bottom band gets 2 studs and nuts. Now these are actually, again, stamped on the outside. These have a little bit of a range in them. That's why there's 2 sets of stud holes. They'll fit 34s or 36s. If you're in 36, you're going to be out here. If you're in the 34, you're going to be down in the smaller set of holes. This band gets popped on here so that it goes over the rubber, so that the top lip of the band goes right over the top of the seal. It's an uneven leg channel. The top channel is wider than the bottom channel.
It's like Bimax coupling.
Yes, it's very much like that. And then so for placement of the studs, again, these are the square flanged, flat-headed carriage bolts. And these come back over through the adjustment slot, like so. Spin the nuts on. Now this tool is a little bit, the tool is going to connect again, it's the same kind of oval holes like on the internal seal. Couple of little tricks that guys will find in order to get that tool properly hooked in. You might need to use a screwdriver to get it out so that you can hook this onto the band. And then on these blocks there's hooks that connect into the band, and then that allows you to compress the rubber. So again, it's instead of like the internal where you're forcing the band out, in this case we're compressing the band on.
When do you know to tighten those?
Well, you basically want to get the rubber compressed and the band tight. You start to get this kind of twist going. kind of a judgment feel. Kind of like the inside. I mean, you're only going to get it so far. So then once it's compressed on and tightened down, you tighten up your studs. And then you can release the tool. And voila.
A lot of the similar functions except for the prep.
Correct.
Mhm.